What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to be looking at all of the One Piece booster boxes, and on the secondary market we'll see how many boxes there are in terms of supply below a 20% leg up. We've done this a couple weeks already. This is going to be the third week, and you can see down here most boxes, actually maybe it won't be, it's quite even actually. Some boxes were up, some were down. Most of the earlier sets though are up, including Romance Dawn, Pillars of Strength, Kingdoms of Intrigue, and Awakening of the New Era. And we will start with Romance Dawn Blue Bottoms. TCG Player has them around $1,215 right now. 20% increase would be about $1,458. There are 0 boxes listed on eBay below $1,458. The lowest listed is still $1,500. There were 5 boxes that sold this week, so we get a daily average of 0.71 boxes sold. We can't really get a accurate representation of how many inventory days are remaining because there are 0 boxes below this 1458. So TCG Player still has a ways to go to catch up on the Blue Bottom Romance Dawn. But this box was selling in that like 1500 range. There were a couple lower sales, but I believe the most recent ones were closer to that 1350, 1400 range. Now, if we want to look at white bottoms, this box was up as well from about $395 up to around $404. A 20% increase would be $484.66. There are 7 boxes listed below this number, selling at 0.43 boxes per day. That's 16.28 days of inventory. So not a lot of Romance Dawn white bottoms out there either before we see a leg up. And they are still selling at a decent pace on eBay. So we should see Romance Dawn just continue to climb, I would imagine, over the next month or two. I would be surprised if it slows down. Again, we could see a lot more supply hit the market. But even on TCG Player, the sales volume is still decent. You're getting 4 or 5 boxes a week, depending on the week. So that's not too bad there. Next up, Paramount War sitting at $231.36. That is slightly down from last week. And if you guys remember when we had our discussion on Paramount War and Pillars of Strength, I said that we're probably not going to see these boxes move too much over the next couple months just because there's a lot of supply out there. We'll see that that's actually not the case for Pillars of Strength this week, which is very surprising to me. But a 20% increase here would be $277.63. There are 106 boxes listed below this 277 on eBay, selling at 0.43 boxes per day. That's 246 and a half days of inventory. So Paramount War, do not expect to see an increase in this box price anytime soon. Even on TCG Player, we have seen this go over the past couple months from around $150 up to around $230. It's going to stick around $230 for quite a while now. Do not expect to see this box climb anytime soon. Next up, we have Pillars of Strength up to $220.76, up a couple dollars from last week. A 20% increase on this box would be about $265. There are 19 boxes listed on eBay below $264.91. Selling at 0.71 boxes per day, so there were 5 sales over the past week, and that's 26.76 days of inventory remaining. So that's actually not too bad for Pillars of Strength. And if I have to look at these sets and think which one's going to move next, it would definitely be Pillars of Strength before Paramount War, just based on the numbers we see on the secondary market. And this is still fairly in line with last week. Last week we had 26 boxes listed below a 20% leg up, selling at 1 per day, 26 days of inventory. So this week we're down a little bit in supply, down a little bit in sales volume, so around the same amount of days remaining, but that is still much less supply compared to Paramount War. So next up, we have Kingdoms of Intrigue, and we've talked about this a little bit on the channel already. We talked about it yesterday and a few days before that. This box is up to $180.64, another decent move, like 5% or so from last week. A 20% leg up will be $216.77. There are only 20 boxes listed below this price on eBay. So even though Kingdoms of Intrigue has made quite the move over the past couple months, I still think it could be moving in the future, and not like the long distant future. Like maybe within the next couple months, we see this move into that $200 range, selling at 0.86 boxes per day. That is the highest out of these first 4 sets. That's 23.26 days of inventory remaining. Moving on, we have OPO5, Awakening of the New Era, up to $259.34. This box has been continuing to climb. It's basically at its all-time high at this point post reprint. 20% increase would be 311.21. Only 49 boxes on the market before this 20% increase this week on eBay, selling at 2 per day, so 14 over the past week. That's 24.5 days of inventory remaining. And we can see last week, I believe it was at 38 days. So again, it depends on the sales volume and how many boxes are on the market. This will always fluctuate, but over time, we want to see this number come down. And when we see a box get close to that 10-15 day range, that's kind of where it's in striking distance of making that move up. And speaking of a box that's in striking range of making a move up, OP06 Wings of the Captain down a little bit this week to $144.35. But that's okay. And you can see this box has been climbing steadily over the past 6 months or so. When we look at the secondary market, a 20% leg up would be $173.22. There are only 17 boxes listed on eBay right now below this price. They're selling at 1.29 boxes per day. That's only 13.18 days of inventory remaining. Last week we were at 24 days, so it definitely has come down a lot. We've seen an increase in sales volume and also a reduction in the amount of boxes there. So this box could be primed to make a move into that like 160, 165 range over the next couple weeks to month. It really is possible. And it definitely will happen if we don't see more supply hit the market. But I do imagine we will see more supply come, especially if the box does continue to creep up. Next up, we have EBO1, the Memorial Collection, down a couple dollars this week, $314.36. 20% leg up, $377.23. Only 9 boxes, same as last week in terms of supply. Only 1 sold last week, so 0.14 boxes sold. That's 64.29 days of inventory. But again, that number is not going to be super accurate, only going off of 1 box selling over the past week. So not a lot of boxes on the market, but not a lot selling at this current price. So it's going to stay in this range over the next few months, I would imagine, unless we see a reprint of the box. And it's done great. It's done great over the past year, up 138%. That is an amazing return for a one-piece box. So if you bought some of these early in that like $100, $120 range, congratulations. You are very happy. And I'd personally, if I bought some of these at $100, I would absolutely be trying to offload a fair amount of them. I don't think that the Memorial Collection's an amazing set. You have the chopper in there. You have a couple other collectible cards. But if you can make over 100%, 120, 130% in a year on a box that isn't super deep, yeah, I'd be trying to move a decent portion of my holdings if it were me. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of EBO1. I have 0 EBO1 to be exact. But moving on, OP07, 500 years in the future. This box, we kind of looked at this a couple weeks ago, and it was one that I thought could have made a move up just because there wasn't a ton of supply out there. It seems like more's hit the market, but not a ton. Up to 112.19, 20% leg up would be 134.63. Only 20 boxes out there below this number and selling at 0.86 boxes per day. That's 23.26 days of inventory remaining. Kind of in the middle of the pack. A lot of these are in that 20-ish range, 25 days remaining. Next up, 2 Legends. Again, there's a lot of this out there. $95.54 down a tiny, tiny bit from last week. 20% leg up would be around $115. There's 239 boxes out there. And even though it's selling at 1 box per day, so 7 over the past week, that's still a ton of inventory remaining for 2 Legends. This is going to be dead money for a while. I understand if you buy this cheap, sure, it's a decent investment long-term maybe. You have less downside risk. But don't expect this box to just magically pop into the 120s, 130s anytime soon. Next up, we have PRB01 down a tiny bit to 200. Actually, sorry, this should be up from last week because last week was 280. This should be in green, up a couple dollars. That's my mistake. Up this week, so $338.54 would be a 20% leg up. There's only 19 boxes listed on the market below that leg up, selling at 0.71 boxes per day, so a little bit lower than last week. That's about 26.76 days of inventory remaining, slightly up from last week as well. So even though the box price has slightly gone up on TCG Player, I don't think we're going to see this move into the 300s anytime soon, unless we see a buyout from a couple people, but that's probably not going to happen. OP09, Emperors in the New World, $185.39. This is down a couple dollars over the past week. 20% increase would be 222.47. 70 boxes on the market, selling at 2.14 per day. That's 32.71 days of inventory remaining. I've had a couple people commenting in some of my videos saying that this is going to be in this range for a while. I agree. I don't think we're going to see this move into that 200 range. It seems like there's a lot more supply out there than we previously thought. You could see last week 12.94 days, and now we're up to 32.7 days. So a lot more inventory hitting the market. Sales volume was a little bit lower. So we will track this, but I think it's going to take a while before we see cases reaching that like $3,000 mark. And then finally, Royal Blood up a couple dollars this week. 20% increase would be $110.39. There are 337 boxes on eBay listed below $110. They are selling at 3 boxes per day. That is the fastest out of any One Piece box right now. Kind of makes sense. It's the newest set. People want to open it. Maybe they need some of the cards for their decks. But that's 112 days of inventory remaining. So this box here, OP10, Royal Blood, it's going to be dead money for a while. It could even go lower, honestly, but maybe it's going to just stay around that 90-ish range. It's selling fairly consistently, so I don't imagine it's going to go much lower, if at all. But I don't think this is going to be a $120, $130 box anytime soon. But you guys let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are you picking up any of these booster boxes recently? I'm really looking forward to getting my EBO2, which should be here probably second week of May, at least some of it. And then also OP11, when it comes out, we will be adding those sets to the watch list once they officially release. Right now, we're not doing it just because it's pre-orders, but when they come out, we will eventually add it, and then you guys will get a better picture over time of what's going on. So thank you so much for watching the videos. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.